Good morning. I'm going to continue my discussion on virtual memory management in today's class as well. Before I move on to the next topic, let us quickly recap whatever we had discussed in the last class. We discussed about demand paging in the last class, and we also discussed about virtual memory, the concept of virtual memory. Let's try to recall them. See, from the previous discussions, we know that the central processing unit is responsible for executing the programs or applications that we write. When the applications are created or programs are created, they are first stored in the hard disk. Once they are compiled and come to the form of execution, or when it becomes executable, the program is brought into the main memory, and CPU fetches instruction by instruction and runs that application. This is what we have learned. Now we have brought in the concept of virtual memory. That is, an application which is written, it can go beyond the size of the main memory. Let's say we have created an application P. Though this P gets divided into a smaller chunks called pages. Similarly, there could be multiple processes residing in the hard disk, and all of them are divided into several pages. And main memory is divided into fixed size segments called frames. Okay, and you know that the frame size is exactly equal to a page size, so that the page can be fit into these frames. Now in multi-programming, we have to run multiple processes concurrently. So therefore we have to bring the multiple processes and keep them in the main memory. So but what we do is, we don't bring all the pages corresponding to a process into the main memory. We bring only the pages which are essential. So we have learnt about pure demand paging. We start with 0 page of a process, and when the CPU makes a reference to an instruction in the page, that page is brought into the main memory. That is pure demand paging. Otherwise, you can bring in some of the pages of a process. For example, let's say if you want to run the program P, and some of the pages, let's say page 1, page 0 and page 2 of process P are brought into the main memory, and accordingly we make the entry in the page table, right? So what the page table contains, as per our discussion in the previous class, it contains 2 fields. So the first field represents the frame number, and the next field is single bit field, and it is called as valid or invalid bit. Okay, so these entries corresponds to pages. For example, let's say 3 pages of process P are brought into the main memory, and where is this page 0 stored? Page 0 is stored in it is stored in 2, so therefore 2 is the entry that is made here, and this bit is made valid because the page is present in the main memory. And where is page 1 stored? It is stored in frame 0, and this bit is also made valid. Where is page 2 stored? It is stored in 4, and this bit is also made valid. So this is how we create the page table. Okay, so now what is the view that programmer gets, though these pages are stored in the memory in an assorted manner? The view that the programmer gets is, his program will start from the address 0 and end at some maximum address. Okay, so and the program might have all 10 pages. Okay, starting from P0 to P9. Whereas how many pages have been brought into the main memory? Only 3 pages have been brought into the memory, and that too they are not stored in consecutive memory blocks. So this view that the programmer gets is called the logical view, or it is called as the virtual memory. So you don't have anything real here. Okay, the programmer thinks that his first instruction is stored at address 0. Actually that is stored at a different physical address, and that view is not presented to the programmer. This is the concept of virtual memory, and it allows us to have as many as processes or programs in the main memory and get better throughput. This is what we had discussed in the last class. Okay, after having understood that, if you look at the page table, the least significant bit of the page table can also contain some of the invalid bits. For example, let's say this could be V, and this also could be valid, invalid, and invalid. So what is the meaning of this? Let's say this corresponds to page 0, this corresponds to 1, 2 and 3 of some process P. Okay, so this may be present at some frame number 4, and this page may be presented some page number 5. There will be no entries here. So what operating system does before fetching the instructions or data from the main memory, it checks the valid invalid bit. Okay, and if it sees that some bit is invalid, it means that the page that CPU is referring to is not present in the main memory, and this is called as page fault. I hope you understood. This is a valid access made to a page of a process P, but due to the concept of demand paging, we have brought only 2 pages of the process P. Now that the CPU is making a request for some instruction or some data present in this page, we are trying to bring this page from the hard. Where is this page stored? It is stored in the hard disk, right? And this is called page fault. So okay, page not being present in the physical memory when requested for is known as page fault. Now how this page fault is handled, this is very, very important. Now you will have to understand it carefully. Now load M, it could be an instruction referring to a page, let's say M, present in the hard disk. When the operating system sees the valid invalid bit corresponding to this page is invalid, it knows that the page is not present in the main memory. Okay, that's the first step. What is the second step? This will make the operating system, the CPU generates a trap to the operating system. So now CPU has to generate has to run the operating system code, right? So it will generate a trap to the operating system. Operating system now locates this page on the hard disk, or it could also be called as backing store. This is the third step. After operating system locates this page is brought into the main memory. After this is brought into the main memory, the page table is updated. That's the fifth step. What is the fourth step? After the page is located, it is brought into the main memory. That means it is put into one of the free frames. Assuming that we have a free frame in the main memory, it is put into one of the free frames. After that, the page table entries are updated. Once the page table is updated, then we restart the execution of this process, or we restart the execution of this instruction, because now we have that page loaded into the main memory. So this is how we are going to handle the page fault. Okay, so there are 6 steps. We refer to a page, that means the CPU refers to a page. page not being present in the main memory is found out by looking at the valid invalid bit. If valid invalid bit is invalid, then the CPU generates a trap. It is a kind of interrupt. So now this interrupt will make the operating system to run an interrupt service routine that is responsible for bringing the requested page from the hard disk into the main memory. So what this ISR or interrupt service routine does, it goes and checks for that particular page in the hard disk. When it locates it, it is brought into the main memory or loaded into one of the free frames. Now here our assumption is that free frame is available in the main memory. After that, the corresponding entry is made in the page table and the execution of this process is restarted. Okay, assuming that the CPU scheduler has not put some other process on the CPU and that process is running. This is our assumption. Okay, I hope you have understood what is page fault and how to handle it. Page fault simply means that the referred page is not present in the main memory. Why it is not present in the main memory? Because as per our concept of demand paging, we don't bring in all the pages associated with the process. We bring in only few pages and then start the execution of the process. Only when the reference is made to a page, if the page is not present in the main memory, we bring that page into the main memory. This gives us lot of space in the main memory, so we can keep pages of multiple processes in the main memory at once and run all of them concurrently. Okay, now what we have to understand is performance of demand paging. Okay, the memory access time will increase when there is a page fault. What is the reason for that? Because the page has to be located on the hard disk and brought into the main memory. That is an additional process that has to be done by the operating system, which will take some time. This would not have happened if the page would have been present in the main memory. Okay, so here let us look at the performance of demand paging. Let P be the probability of page fault. Obviously its value lies within 0 and 1. Ideally the probability value should be 0, means that there should not be any page fault at all. Whatever pages are requested by the CPU, those pages should be present in the main memory. Then only the smooth execution of a process is possible, right? So therefore the value of this P should be 0. Okay, that's what I have written here. Otherwise, what happens to the effective access time? Effective access time is equal to 1 minus P time. It is equal to MA. Now here I have assumed that the memory access, normal memory access time is MA, whatever may be the unit of time. Let's say MA seconds. Okay, so 1 minus P times MA and P times page fault time. So this page fault time depends on lot of parameters or lot of activities. What are those activities? These are the activities on which page fault time depends on. Service the page fault interrupt. Okay, so you have to do the context switching. That is, you will have to bring in the interrupt service routine into the main memory if it is not there, and if it is there in the main memory, then the CPU should start executing it, locate the page and then read the page into the main memory and then restart the process. These activities could be subdivided or divided into sub activities that I have not shown here. So the page fault time depends on all these activities. So this equation gives us the effective access time when there are page faults while executing a process. Hope you have understood. That is, for example, let's say the page fault, the probability of page fault is 0.2, and MA, that is normal memory access time, when there is no page fault or when the page is present in the main memory, is 200 nanoseconds. Okay, in that case, effective memory access time is equal to 1 minus 0.2, that is what, 0.8. Okay, 0.8 into 200 nanoseconds plus 0.2 into so page fault time also we should know. Let's assume the page fault time is 250 nanoseconds. So that is 250 nanoseconds. 50 more seconds more is taken to fetch the referred page from the hard disk into the main memory. This is how we calculate the effective access time. Okay, you look at this diagram. What could you infer from this? There are two processes running concurrently. What are those two processes? That is the process of user 1, let's say, and process of user 2. And the page table of user 1 process is created like this. That means page 0, page 1, page 2 are present in the main memory. Okay, so what are these pages? These pages are H, let's say H, M, J. Okay, sorry, H, let's say some other page. Let me strike this off. Let's assume that some other page is present here. Let's say P. Okay. Okay. Now these bits indicates what? These pages are already present in the main memory. So similarly here, page 0, page 2 and page 3 of process of user 2 are present in the physical memory. Now let us assume that there is no free frame available in the main memory. You are seeing that there is no free frame available. Now let us take a scenario. Now this process is picked up for execution, and this process makes a request for page B. Okay, so this process consists of page A, B, D and E. A, D and E are present. Okay, in what frames? A is present at frame number 6, and D is present at frame number 2, and E is present at frame number 7. Okay, when the access CPU tries to access page B, operating system finds that the valid invalid bit entry for this page is I invalid. So therefore, okay, now the operating system sees valid invalid bit associated with page B as invalid, which means that it is not there in the main memory. Now this is a page fault, right? Okay, we have assumed that there is no free space or free frame available. Okay, no free frame available, and B is not present in the main memory. Okay, so this is called what? This is called page fault. How is this handled? Now operating system has to locate that page on the hard disk. Okay, it is present in the hard disk. Now it has to bring this page into the main memory. Now when it tries to bring this page into the main memory, if you see carefully, there is no free frame. So there has to be a page replacement. That means one of the pages of this process or the other process has to be replaced, has to be removed and put into swap space. Okay, you can also call it as extended main memory, and bring this B into the main memory. Okay, so this is what is known as page replacement. Till now, whatever discussions we had, we were assuming that page frames would be available in the physical memory and the pages are brought into those free frames. But for the first time we are encountering a situation where no free frame is available. So therefore the operating system has to replace one of the pages of this process and bring the page which is referred by the CPU into the main memory. Okay. Okay, now hope you have understood the necessity of page replacement. There is a reference to a page being made by the central processing unit, and operating system finds that that page is not present in the main memory, and it goes and locates that page on the hard disk. But while bringing that page into the main memory, it sees that all frames are occupied and no frame is available. So in this scenario, now the operating system has to replace one of the pages. So this is very, very important, and this cannot be done in an ad hoc manner. So there has to be a proper page replacement algorithm. So we will discuss about page replacement algorithm later, but let us look at the discussions that we have made so far put in the form of an algorithm. Okay, so find the location of the desired page on the disk, find a free frame. So there could be three activities possible when the operating system tries to find a free frame. If there is a free frame, use it. So there's no issue, the operating system can use it. If there is no free frame, then the operating system has to run another algorithm called page replacement algorithm for selecting a victim page. Victim page. You can also call it as a victim frame because the page is located in the frame. Okay, then write the victim frame to the disk so that that frame becomes free. Okay, and make the corresponding changes in the page table. That means you will have to make the valid invalid bit entry of this particular page as invalid because it is going out of the main memory. Okay, and you can also make the changes to other tables, such as table which is keeping track of how many frames or free frames are available in the main memory. Okay, after that, now read the desired page, that is the page which is now wanted by the central processing unit, into the newly freed frame. After that, again you will have to make the changes to the page table, that is the valid invalid bit entry of this page has to be made valid, and frame number or the number of the frame where this page is getting stored in the main memory has to be entered into the page table. These are the changes that you will have to make, and you have to make another entry in the table that keeps track of free frames, as this frame is now filled with a page. Then restart the user process. I hope you have understood basic page replacement. There are basically 4 steps. The first one is a page is referred to by the central processing unit, and you have found that the page is not there in the main memory. So operating system is finding that page on the hard disk. After it finds the location of the page, if there is a free frame in the main memory, there's no problem. Bring that page into the main memory and put it into the free frame. Otherwise, if there is no free frame, then you will have to run the page replacement algorithm to select a victim frame and remove the page from that victim frame and write it onto the disk. Make the corresponding entries in the page table and other tables. Now one of the frames becomes free. Bring the desired page into newly freed frame and again make the corresponding changes in the page table and other tables. Restart the user process. This is the basic page replacement algorithm. Okay, the algorithm or the routine that we discussed in the previous slide has been pictorially shown here. When there is no free space available in the physical memory, a victim frame is selected. Okay, so to select a victim frame, page replacement algorithm has to be used, that we will discuss in the coming slide. Once the victim frame is selected, page present in that frame is swapped out to the hard disk and requested page is brought into the main memory or to that freed frame. Of course, corresponding entries are made to the page table. Now here we are approaching hard disk twice. First time to write the victim page onto the hard disk. Okay, this is for writing the victim page. And second time to bring the requested page into the main memory. So hard disk being a slower device, this is going to affect effective memory access time largely. So is there a way of bringing the effective memory access time down or reducing the effective memory access time? We make use of a bit called dirty or modify bit. So in the page table, along with valid invalid bit, you can put one more bit. For example, if this is valid invalid bit, you can put one more bit and you can call that bit as dirty bit. So when a page, suppose a page which is present in the main memory is altered during the execution of a process. So for example, let's say page 0 of process P is altered during its execution, then the dirty bit is made 1, which means that the page has been altered. So if the page has been altered after this is brought into the main memory from the hard disk, then you will not have any other option but to write this page back to the hard disk if this page is selected as a victim page, right? If the page is not altered after it is brought into the main memory from the hard disk, then this dirty bit would remain as 0. Initially it will be 0, it would remain as 0, which means that the page has not been altered after it has come into the main memory from the hard disk. So in this case, you can simply ignore this first step, that is, you don't have to write the victim page back onto the hard disk because the copy of that is already available in the hard disk, right? The source is the hard disk itself. So you can avoid writing that page onto the hard disk. So in case of read-only pages also, you can simply look at the dirty page. If it is 0, then you need not write the victim page back onto the hard disk. That will bring the effective memory access time down or improve the effective memory access time. This is one of the approaches. used to reduce the effective memory access time. Okay, in this routine, we have seen that whenever we are trying to bring the desired page into the main memory, if there is no free frame, then operating system has to execute a page replacement algorithm whose responsibility is to find a victim frame. So there are several page replacement approaches. In the next slide, let's see what are the different page replacement approaches that we have. Here I have listed several commonly used page replacement algorithms. The first one is the first in, first out, which is the simplest of all the page replacement algorithms. Then optimal page replacement algorithm. Then we have least recently used page replacement algorithm. An enhancement to that is least recently used approximation page replacement algorithm. Then we have second chance algorithm. Now, in order to evaluate the performance of these algorithms, we consider number of page faults as the parameter. Less the number of page faults, better is the performance of an algorithm. So that means if first in, first out algorithm ensures less number of page faults, then this is better compared to the other which produces more number of page faults. Now let us take up first in, first out page replacement algorithm and understand how it functions. Yeah, before I proceed to discuss about first in, first out page replacement algorithm, let's see what is this reference string, because we will be using the reference string in order to understand the different page replacement algorithms. Now here, these are the references that are made to some memory locations by the central processing unit. Now let's assume that each page has 100 bytes, okay, starting from 0100. So this 0100 is a reference made to first page. Let me number that page as 1, and this 0432 is a reference made to page 4, and this is a reference to which page? 1. This is a reference to page 6, and if you see from here to 0101, these are the references made to page 1. So let me just write page 1 once here, because once this page 1 is brought into the main memory, then there will be no page faults because it resides in the main memory. The next reference is to page 6 and then to page 1 again. From here to again here 0101, these are all the references to page 1. Then we have again reference to page 6. Then from here to here we have references made to page 1. Then there's a reference to page 6, page 1 again. Okay. Now we call this as reference string. So what is this? This is nothing but a string of references made to different pages. So we make use of this kind of a reference string to study the functions of different page replacement algorithms. Now let me take one such reference string in order to understand first in, first out page replacement algorithm. So here again, I forgot to tell you about this. How many page frames are available or memory frames are available, contributes hugely to the number of page faults. Here what we have assumed is that there are 3 page frames in the memory, or 3 frames in the memory which could accommodate pages. Now the first reference is to page number 7, and all the 3 frames are free now. So therefore the page 7 is stored. And next comes the request for page 0. So page 0 is stored in the main memory. Next request is to page 1, that is also stored in the main memory. So when reference made to page 7, page 7 is not there in the memory, so therefore there will be a page fault. When reference made to 0, it is not there, so this can also be called as the page fault. So till here the number of page faults would be 2. Next, when the reference is made to 1, that is also a page fault. Now there is a reference to 2, but 2 is not there in the memory here. So therefore now the page replacement algorithm has to select one of the pages for replacement, or it has to select the victim frame from which the page is removed. Now for this purpose, page replacement algorithm uses first in first out approach. The page which has come in first will be sent out, or will be selected as a victim page. So how this could be realized? It is very easy. Just attach the timestamp with the references, or with the page number, and from that we can find out the period of time the page is residing in the main memory. So now which is the oldest page? In this case 7 is the oldest page. Therefore when the reference is made to 2, 7 is replaced by 2. Now this is what we see in the memory, so that is also a page fault. Okay, next there is a reference to 0. Now this is not a page fault because this page is already there in the main memory. Next there is a reference to 3, but 3 is not there in the main memory. So a page has to be replaced. Which page has to be replaced? Now the 0 is the oldest page, so this will be replaced by 3. So that is a page fault. Okay, so similarly now there is a request for 0, and 1 is the oldest page, so it will be replaced. There is a page fault. So it goes on like this, and if you see the number of page faults, it will be, there's a page fault here, there's a page fault here, page fault here, there's a page fault here, no page fault because 3 is there in the memory, 2 is also there in the memory. There's a page fault here, there's one here, there's a page fault here, there's no page fault here because the 0 is present in the memory and 1 is also present in the memory. There is one here, page fault here, and there's one more page fault here. So therefore there will be 15 page faults in this case. Okay, now let us use the same reference string and see how other page replacement algorithms behaves. Okay, before taking up the next page replacement algorithm, that is optimal page replacement algorithm, so what is shown in this slide is we have taken one more reference string like this and plotted a graph of number of frames against number of page faults, number of page faults along the y-axis and number of frames along the x-axis. Now if you look at this, do you see any anomaly here? What is a thumb rule? As the number of page frames increases, the page fault should come down. Number of page faults should come down. This has to be a graph something like this. Why? Because as the number of frames increases, more pages could be kept in the main memory and page faults will be less. But if you look at this graph here, when the number of frames increased from 3 to 4, the number of page faults has also been increased. It has been increased from 9 to 10. So this is an anomaly, and this kind of anomaly is called Biledis anomaly. So what is Biledis anomaly? As the number of page frames increases, in case of first in first out page replacement algorithm, sometimes number of page faults also increase. So this is called as Biledis algorithm. This is against the normal thing, which says as the number of frames increase, the page fault should also come down. This is an issue associated with first in first out page replacement algorithm. Now let's look at the optimal page replacement algorithm and see how it functions. Okay, we have seen that algorithm suffers from Biledis anomaly. That is, when you increase the number of frames, number of page faults would also increase. That is not supposed to happen. In order to overcome that issue, we have one more page replacement algorithm, that is optimal page replacement algorithm. The name optimal page replacement algorithm indicates that this is the best page replacement algorithm among all the algorithms that we are going to discuss, and yields in minimum number of page faults. Let us take the same reference string and let us also assume that there are 3 page frames allocated to this process. When the reference is made to page 7, now we are talking about pure demand paging. That is, we are not keeping any of the pages related to process in the main memory when we start. So hence there will be a page fault every time a reference is made to a page till all the frames get filled. Now when the reference is made to 7, it is a page fault and 7 is loaded into the memory. When reference is made to 0, this is again a page fault and 0 is loaded into the memory. Similarly, when reference is made to 1, that's a page fault and it is loaded into the memory. Now you will have to carefully understand the difference between page replacement algorithm and the FIFO page replacement algorithm. Now when the reference is made to page 2, which page has to be replaced? Okay, in case of first in first out page replacement algorithm, we simply look for the oldest page and that page becomes the victim, and that page is removed and new page is inserted in its place. Whereas here when the reference is made to 2, now we have pages 7, 0 and 1. Now we'll have to look forward. Okay, we have to look in the future, in the sense that the references that could come in the future for different pages. Now if you see, immediately after 2 there is a reference for 0, so therefore definitely we cannot remove 0 from the memory. And there is a reference for page 1 here, whereas there is a reference for page 7 only at 18th position, in the sense it is going to be 18th reference. So we cannot remove 0 or we cannot remove 1. So which page we have to remove? That is this 7. So page 7 is replaced with 2. Okay, next so there is a page fault. Next there is a request for 0, but 0 is already there in the main memory. Then there is a request for page 3. So there is no frame left in the main memory, so we are left with no option but to replace one of the pages. Now which page to select? Now look at the pages which are there in the memory. Now we have page 2, 0 and 1, and there is a reference to 0 immediately after this, and there is a reference to 2 also after that, but there is a reference to 1 after the 2. So therefore you can select 1 as a victim page and put 3 in place of that. So this is also a page fault. Now 0 is there in the memory, so this will not cause any page fault. Now 4 is not there in the main memories, therefore you will have to replace one of the pages. See which page to replace now. Now if you look at the memory, 2 is there. There is a request for 2 immediately after 4, and 0 so before 0 there is a request for 3. So therefore you can choose this 0 as victim page and replace that 0 by 4. This is a page fault. I'm writing this as 6. So far we have had 6 page faults. Now 2 is there in the main memory, so therefore there will not be any page fault, and 3 is also there in the memory, so there will not be any page fault. Now when the request for 0 comes, we don't have any free frame, we have to replace one of the pages. Now which page to replace? So after this there is a request for 3, so obviously we cannot replace 3. There is a request for 2 as well, so therefore you have to replace 4, and that is a page fault. It goes on like this. There will not be any page fault when there is a request for 3 and 2, and there will be a page fault when the request for page 1 comes, because it is not there in the main memory, and we pick up 3 for replacing or for inserting this 1 in place of 3. So that is going to be a page fault. Like this, if you see, now from here onwards there will be very less page fault, because the required pages are already there in the memory. That is, when request for 2 comes, it is there in the memory, 0 is there in the memory, 1 is also there in the memory. Now when there is a request for 7, we replace 2, because there will not be any reference made in future for 2 compared to the 0 and 1. There is a reference for 0 and there is a reference for 1. So this is a page fault. So how many page faults have occurred? 9 page faults have occurred. In case of first in first out page replacement algorithms, we have seen there were 15 page faults. So compared to that, this algorithm has brought the number of page faults down or to the minimum. But the disadvantage of, let me clear this, the disadvantage of this algorithm is that you will have to see in future the references that are going to be made in future, which is very, very difficult. Therefore this is a kind of hypothetical or conceptual algorithm, just like shortest job first algorithm that we discussed when we discussed about CPU scheduling algorithm. Now after this, let us discuss about another page replacement algorithm, which again makes the backward check and practically feasible. Okay, the next algorithm is least recently used. In this case, first 3 page faults are common in all the page replacement algorithms, because we have assumed pure demand paging, right? So there will be 3 page faults. So after that we have a request for page 2, and now there is no free frame in the main memory, therefore we will have to replace one of the frames. Now which frame to replace? Now we look back. Unlike optimal page replacement algorithm, we look back and see that there was a reference for page 1 and 0 recently, whereas the 7 is the least recently used page. So therefore we replace 7 by 2. Now there is a request for 0, but 0 is already there in the main memory. Then there is a request for 3. 3 is not there in the main memory. Now which page will you select as a victim page to put the page 3 into the main memory? Now if you see, there was a reference for 2 and there was a reference for 0 in recent time, but the 1 is the page which is residing in the memory and least recently used. So therefore we select that as the victim and replace 1 by 3. So there's a page fault here and there's a page fault here. Okay, this goes on. When the request for 4 is made, 4 is not there in the main memory, so therefore we have to replace one of the pages, which is the page which is residing in the memory and not being used. That is the page number 2, because there was a reference for 0 and there was a reference for 3 in recent times, and the 2 is the page which is least recently used. So therefore 2 is replaced by 4. So this is a page fault, and this goes on. There will be a page fault here because these pages are not present in the main memory. Okay, and 3 is there in the memory, so there is no page fault. 2 is already there in the memory, there is no page fault. Here there will be a page fault, and least recently used page is 0, so therefore 0 is replaced with 1. Then here there will not be any page fault. Here there is going to be a page fault, no page fault here, again one more page fault. Now if you see here, the total number of page faults are 12. So in case of FIFO we had 15 page faults. In case of optimal page replacement algorithm, we had 9 page faults. In this case we have 12. So that means we have taken an appropriate referencing string that clearly is giving us the difference between these algorithms. So though here number of page faults are little more than page faults in case of optimal page replacement algorithm, but obviously this gives a better performance compared to first in first out page replacement algorithm. So this is the preferred page replacement algorithm in operating system. Now let's see whether this algorithm could be improved. I think I am left with no time. Let me stop here, and I will discuss about an enhanced version of least recently used algorithm in the next class. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you, and let me continue in the next class. I'll stop here.